Story recapped here. Today I'm gonna explain a comedy, drama, and horror film called The Final Girls. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In their car, Max watches the trailer for Camp Bloodbath, an 80s slasher flick that stars her mom, Amanda. Putting her phone away, Max watches as her mom walks back to their car from an audition. Max tells her that Amanda is better than what she's auditioning for, but Amanda struggles from being only known for the slasher flick. On the road, Max reminds Amanda about their bills. Amanda brushes it off and throws the bills out the window. Max lets it be when Amanda starts singing along to their favorite song on the radio. As they sing along, Max accidentally spills her coffee on Amanda's set cards. Due to the distraction, Amanda doesn't notice when a car crashes into them, making them tumble along the road. 3 years later, Max is getting ready while watching a home video of her with Amanda. Gertie, her best friend, drives her to the diner where she's meeting a guy to study. At the diner, Chris tutors Max. Suddenly, Duncan, Gertie's stepbrother, arrives and begs Max to attend his theater club's tribute screening of Camp Bloodbath. When Max walks out, Duncan bargains to do her homework and papers for the subject she's failing at. That night, Max ends up coming with Gertie. To their surprise, Chris joins them to give Max moral support. After Gertie purposefully leaves them to bond, Chris awkwardly compliments Max's mother. Max then shares that today is the anniversary of Amanda's death, dampening the mood. To lighten up, Max asks if she can at least see her mother again, even if it's while she's getting chased by a killer. Suddenly, Chris's ex-girlfriend Vicky arrives, saying it's a coincidence. However, Chris points out that he posted where he'd be on Twitter. Inside the cinema, Vicky says she's been busy with college applications, but Adderall helps her deal with it. When Chris offers to buy Max some popcorn, Vicky tags along. Gertie complains about Vicky's attitude, wondering how Max used to be friends with her. Before the movie starts, Duncan greets Max, happy that she came. Once the screening starts, Max smiles when Amanda appears on the screen as her character Nancy. Later into the movie, Nancy recounts how 2 decades ago, little Billy Murphy went camping at the same place but was constantly bullied. While watching, a guy accidentally drops a liquor bottle, spilling a trail of liquor on the floor. As the movie progresses to Nancy's bed scene, which is followed by her death scene, Max excuses herself. However, one guy drops a cigarette, which lands on the trail of liquor, spreading fire throughout the cinema. As the crowd panics, the fire exits get blocked. After confirming that there's a door behind the movie screen, Max picks up a machete that someone dropped before using it to tear through the screen. Opening her eyes, Max finds herself in a forest, and her friends appear one by one. Hearing a vehicle approaching, the group goes to the road. When the van stops in front of them, a woman asks them for directions, but Duncan immediately recognizes her as Tina, one of the characters in Camp Bloodbath. Because the group is too stunned to speak, Kurt, Tina's friend, and another movie character drives away. They walk around but are still lost even after 92 minutes. Just then, the van comes again, and like earlier, Tina asks for directions. This time, Chris tells her to keep heading straight. When Gertie mentions that they're probably insane, Duncan starts a timer on his watch. After another 92 minutes, Duncan counts down the remaining seconds before the van arrives again. For the 3rd time, Tina asks for directions, so Duncan claims that they're counselors and will show them the way if they can get a ride. Though the group is confused, Duncan tells them they have no choice. After driving for a while, Kurt announces their arrival. When Nancy wakes up from the back seat, Max slowly turns around with teary eyes as she sees her mother once more, but as Nancy and not Amanda. At camp, Duncan tells them that they're inside the movie. Max asks how they're gonna leave, so Duncan reminds everyone that they're in 1986, so they technically don't exist yet. Just then, one of the counselors, Mimi, goes to the woods, so Duncan says they're right on schedule. They recall that Mimi dies when she hooks up with a hiker, so Duncan tells them that anyone who engages in lewd acts dies in this movie. Coming up with an idea, Vicky says they should just leave, so she goes to Kurt to ask for the van keys. Kurt throws the keys into the woods, telling them they can borrow them if they find them. While the group goes on the search, Max approaches Nancy. Seeing Kurt, Nancy mentions that she's gonna lose her virginity to him, so Max tells her not to do it. Pulling Max away from Nancy, Chris takes her to the woods with the others. Meanwhile, the other counselors talk about the new people, with Tina calling dibs on Chris, while their other friend, Blake, thinks Gertie is cute. On the other hand, Nancy notices that none of them are on the counselor roster. As they still can't find the keys, they start feeling hopeless. Just then, they notice Mimi from a distance, so so Duncan tells them they can't disrupt the movie. Hearing a sound effect, Duncan points out that it's the cue for Billy's appearance. When Billy appears, Mimi and the hiker she's with don't notice anything, so they continue their activities. Suddenly, Billy snaps the hiker's neck before grabbing Mimi by the neck and killing her. As Billy throws Mimi's body away, it lands in front of the group, so Billy notices them. Chris shouts for everyone to run, but Duncan stops them. Though rooted in place, Duncan doesn't get killed, so he points out that it's because he's not part of the movie. Duncan tells them that they can't leave until the movie's over when the final girl kills Billy, and in this movie, the final girl doesn't come until the next reel. Pulling out his phone, Duncan takes a selfie with Billy, but the killer starts walking closer to him. Duncan trembles in fear as Billy stares him down, but the killer just walks away. Everyone laughs in relief as Duncan gets away scot-free, but suddenly, a machete comes flying back, which impales Duncan on the side. Watching their friend fall, the group runs back to camp out of fear. When they try escaping, they find themselves stuck in a loop. Unable to leave the premises, Max realizes that the movie won't let them leave. In the main cabin, the counselors sing in a circle. With teary eyes, Gertie says they should warn the group about Billy, but Vicky thinks the counselors are too stupid. Just then, a car arrives, revealing the supposed final girl, Paula. Afterward, Nancy tells everyone to prepare for the slumber party. Meanwhile, the group talks about their own preparations, planning to stick with the counselor to save themselves. Vicky is assigned to Tina and Paula, Chris with Kurt, Gertie with Blake, and Max with her mom. However, Vicky points out that it's not her mom, asking her to stop being delusional or it'll get them killed. The group splits up with their respected counselors, though some don't quite get along so easily. Tina notices Vicky's bottle of Adderall, but Vicky insists that it's bad for her. Meanwhile, Chris twists Kurt's arm after Kurt mentions he wants to bang Max. At the same time, Gertie and Blake get along. Later, Nancy gets ready to do it with Kurt, so Max goes up to her, telling her to stop. When Nancy says that she just wanted to feel special, Max says that Nancy is special to her. Their moment is cut short when Kurt comes in, shirtless. Bursting inside the cabin, Chris looks for Max as they hear Billy's sound effects. When Chris gets upstairs, they hear Gertie scream downstairs. With all the counselors gathering inside to check on Gertie, she freaks out, telling Max to warn them about Billy. Hearing his name, Nancy explains Billy's backstory as the counselors take their seats. While Nancy talks, ooze drips from the ceiling. Confused, the group finds themselves at the camp in 1957, but everything is in black and white, so Max concludes that they're in a flashback. Back then, Billy was constantly bullied by everyone, even the counselors. One day, while he was getting bullied again, Billy locked himself in the outhouse, thinking he'd be safe. To get him out, a counselor threw a firecracker inside, and Billy screamed in pain. Billy suffered third-degree burns all over his body and became filled with nothing but anger, so he created a mask to hide his face. Returning to the camp, Billy exacted his revenge by killing 8 counselors, one for every month he spent in the hospital. Legend believes that Billy still lives in the woods, waiting for new counselors to exact revenge repeatedly. When the flashback ends, the counselors notice the splatters of blood on Gertie's face from the flashback scene. Terrified, the counselors run away. Max explains that they can't leave until Billy's dead. Still, Paula and Kurt drive away in a panic. Duncan appears from the trees, calling for help. Paula ends up running him over and doesn't stop driving. Crashing into the totem pole, Kurt bursts out of the windshield and dies before Paula meets the same fate when the car explodes. Upset, Vicky tells the counselors that they're not real, and they're simply in a movie where the final girl is dead. Back inside, they continue to explain the entire concept to them. Meanwhile, Tina, who they patted with a life jacket and oven mitts, asks why she must cover up. So Chris explains that she's scripted to striptease at the slumber party, and if she takes her top off, Billy comes after her. Due to Paula's death, Vicky tells them that they need to nominate a new final girl and volunteers to do it. However, Gertie and Chris argue that she isn't fully a virgin and that Max is the only one who fits the bill. Chris says all they need to do is give Billy's machete to Max so she can kill Billy and they can leave. However, Max isn't confident enough to do it, so Nancy volunteers. Vicky tells her that she can't be the final girl because her character is simply the shy girl who gets laid and dies. Crying, Nancy walks away, so Max runs after her. During their small moment, Max honestly tells Nancy that she's gonna die, so Nancy starts crying, saying she's always dreamed of meeting a guy and giving birth to a girl. She gets upset that she'll never get to grow up. Back at the cabin, Chris spearheads the strategizing, saying they need to lure Billy toward them. Thus, he shows them his plan where Tina will be the bait. Together, they spend the entire day prepping their materials, taking the antlers from a deer mount, setting up a bear trap, taking arrows, and and sawing off a totem pole. Later, Vicky, Max, and Gertie sharpen wooden sticks together, but Vicky can't help but cry. Unable to hold it, Vicky apologizes for being mean to Gertie. She then confesses that Max shut down completely when Amanda died, so Vicky felt upset and got jealous of Max and Gertie's friendship. She admits that she used to look up to Max because she was the brave one, then tells her to be brave again. When Max tells Vicky that she doesn't have to die, Vicky says she's the mean girl in an 80s horror movie, so she's meant to die. Back at the cabin, Vicky stops Tina from removing her oven mitts. When the girls leave, Tina notices Vicky's Adderall. Later, Max and Nancy prep their fire arrows. Then Nancy asks about Max's parents. Max talks about her mom, saying she was awesome. Afterward, Nancy says she'll miss Max once everything's over and gives her a friendship bracelet. Max hopes Nancy can just come back home with her in their world, saying she doesn't need to die. Hoping for the best, the two hug, but their moment is interrupted when the others call them, showing them Tina, who's zinged out from Adderall. Though Chris says they should replan, Tina says she could do it. During go time, they keep the cabin door open as Nancy plays the music for Tina's dance. Soon, Tina opens her top, making Billy appear. Seeing Billy walk towards them, Tina panics and runs away but ends up getting caught in their trap. With Billy getting inside the cabin, Chris closes the door and tells Gertie to cut the rope, resulting in a totem pole slamming onto Billy. Once Billy is caught in the antlers, Blake confesses his love for Gertie, so she kisses him before he goes down to take the machete. However, Billy is still alive and stabs Blake. Panicking, Max tells everyone to run to the kitchen. While the rest go upstairs, Nancy, Max, and Chris stay behind to fire flaming arrows at Billy, but he's unfazed. Running upstairs, they start escaping through the window, but Vicky and Gertie stay behind. When Vicky is unable to execute their final trap, Billy drops a bookcase on the two. Albeit stuck, Vicky tells him to just go, just as Gertie gets stabbed. As Vicky holds Gertie's hand, she pulls on the cord one last time, dropping a bucket of gasoline onto Billy, making the room explode just as the remaining survivors jump out in slow motion, which Max points out. In flames, Billy jumps out the window, so the group continues to run in slow-mo. Jumping across the creek, Billy catches up to them as the slow-mo ends. They get cornered, so Max tells Nancy to trigger the flashback again. Billy gets taken to the flashback with them, but he gets run over by the kids in the flashback scene, allowing Max to pick up his machete. During the sequence, they see past Billy run to a rundown cabin that Nancy doesn't recognize. When present Billy returns, Max tells Nancy to recite the last line of the exposition, which takes them back to the creek. As they run away, Billy appears behind them, so Chris goes against him but immediately gets stabbed while Nancy gets taken away. When Max attempts to chase them, Chris holds her back, saying she's gone. After hiding Chris in a chapel, Max plans to look for Nancy, but Chris reminds her that Nancy is supposed to die. Not giving up, Max points out that Nancy survived longer than in the actual movie. Though Chris says he doesn't want to die alone, Max just assures him that nobody else is going to die. Max then goes straight to the rundown cabin they saw in the flashback. When a door opens on its own, Max follows the trail, only to see Mimi and the hikers' dead bodies. Meanwhile, Nancy is tied up and is still alive, so Max sets her free. However, Nancy warns Max that Billy is behind her. Max's attempts at attacking Billy are futile because she's easily pushed away. Nancy assists her, but they both just get thrown around easily. When Max gets stabbed, Nancy takes the machete and slashes Billy, knocking him down. Nancy takes the opportunity to escape and brings Max to the chapel. Figuring out a solution to save Max, Nancy opts to sacrifice herself to ensure that Max is the final girl. Max offers Nancy to be the final girl, but Nancy knows she's never meant to be the main girl and convinces Max that she's not afraid. Crying, Max tells her the truth that Nancy is actually Amanda, her mother, and she wanted to be a movie star more than anything. Max doesn't want to leave without her, but Nancy just tells her that she must let her go. Before walking away, Nancy tells her that she's a movie star. Outside, Nancy starts on clothing to lure Billy toward her. When Billy appears, Nancy blows one last kiss to Max before Billy stabs her. Once Nancy dies, Max regains her strength and takes the machete to finish the movie. As the final girl, Max walks straight to Billy and attacks without hesitation, but Billy won't go down without a fight. As Max pins him down to strike, Billy blocks the machete and throws Max across the grass. Max runs back toward him while Billy throws his knife, which Max dodges before beheading him. After taking down the bad guy, Max sees the credits roll in the sky. Chris, who survives his wounds, walks back to Max, and they kiss. Just then, the screen starts shutting down. Max wakes up in a hospital bed next to Chris. Hearing voices behind the curtain, Max pulls it aside, revealing Duncan, Vicky, and Gertie, who are all alive. When Max asks whether it was a dream, Duncan tells her that it was real and shows her his machete wound. Max notices the friendship bracelet and smiles at the fond memory of her mother. Suddenly, they hear the sound effect of Billy's arrival, so they check outside their room and see a doctor flirting with a nurse. Immediately, Duncan realizes that they're in the sequel, as Billy bursts through the glass window. Taking an IV pole, Max bravely faces him.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.